Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to officially welcome you to this special event, making International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia and Biphobia here within the Borough of Dudley. Dudley Metropolitan Borough Council is committed to eliminate discrimination, harassment and victimisation and promoting good relationship between people of diverse backgrounds and within a rich and varied communities which make up our borough. I was thrilled to host the Dudley's first ever event to mark this special day on the 17th of March 2019. Seems just like yesterday. Sadly, for obvious reasons, we were unable to meet together last year, but I am delighted and really delighted that we're here today in a much smaller number due to the coronavirus restrictions, but still recognising this very important day. Shortly, we shall be raising the rainbow flag above both the Council House and Dudley Castle. This will symbolise a renewal for our communities to eradicate discrimination and bigotry in all forms within our borough. My personal thanks go to Councillor Adam Aston, Councillor Sean Kesey, Chris Passy and the Council's Communication and Public Affairs team for organising today's event. And may I say, thank you all very, very much for your attendance in sharing this very, very special celebration. Thank you.
I would also like to echo the Mayor's sentiments in welcoming you here to Dudley's third annual event, recognising International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia and Transphobia. We met together in 2019 at the Council's hugely successful inaugural event. Last year, like many events, we moved online to recognise this very important day virtually. And this year we're doing a mixture of the two. So a special welcome to everyone watching from home on Dudley Council's social media platforms. Highlights from today's event will be available to share along with poems recited by members of Dudley Youth Council and a performance of Come On In From The Outside from the musical Taboo, specially recorded for us by Kieran Brown, who is a West End star, and our sincere thanks go to Kieran for this support. The Dudley Borough is and always has been home to diverse communities living together and working together. We hope that one day events like International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia and Transphobia won't be necessary. But until that day comes, Dudley Council will continue to raise the rainbow flag above our council house and Dudley Castle to demonstrate our support for lesbian, gay, bisexual and trans communities here and around the world, and we will be proud to do so. So thank you.
We'll do, this is the moment from Jacqueline Hyde. Thank you very much. I'll have plenty of reverb, darling. It's been a long day. It's only 11:30 in the morning. This is the moment. This is the day when I see all my doubts and demons on their way. Every endeavor I have made ever is coming into play, is here and now today. This is the moment, this is the time when the momentum and the moment are in rhyme. Give me this moment, these precious chance. I'll gather up my past and I'll make some sense at last. This is the moment when all I've done, all of the dreaming, scheming and screaming becomes one. This is the day it sparkle and shine when all I've lived for becomes mine. For all these years I faced the world alone, but now the time has come to prove to them we made it on our own. This is the moment, my final test. Oh, destiny beckoned, I never reckoned second best. When I look back, I will always recall a moment for moment, and this was the moment of them all. Oh, this is the moment, damn all the odds, and this day I'll never, and I'll see forever with the gods. When I look back, I will always recall a moment for moment, and this is the moment, the greatest moment of them Lovely. So here we go. Anyway, so I've got a few speakers that are going to come up and say a few words, and then obviously we've got the raising of the pride flags. So first up, I'd like to introduce Councillor Adam Aston, Councillor Sean Kesey, and Chris Pacey is here, please. Thank you very much.
The International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia and Biphobia was created back in 2004 to draw attention to the violence and discrimination experienced by lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, intersex people and all other people with diverse sexual orientations, gender identities or expressions around the world. Today's date, the 17th of May each year, was specifically chosen to commemorate the World Health Organization decision taken in 1990 to declassify homosexuality as a mental disorder. The day represents a major global annual landmark to draw attention of world leaders, decision makers, the media, the public and corporations to the alarming situation faced by people with diverse sexual orientations and gender identities. May the 17th is now recognised in more than 130 countries, including 37 where same-sex acts are still illegal. Thousands of events like ours today, big and small, are held across the globe as a celebration of progress towards true equality, but also an acknowledgement that in countries around the world, the rights of LGBT people are being eroded and destroyed. The International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia and Biphobia has received official recognition from many countries, international institutions and countless local authorities. Most United Nations agencies also mark the day with specific events. The sincere thanks of Sean, Chris and I to all of you for attending today and taking part. We may be few in number, but as Councillor Millward said, today's event is being shared on the Council's social media channels, and information about this incredibly important day will be shared over the coming week. Thank you.
Good morning, honoured guests. What does it mean to be an ally? As a cisgendered and heterosexual person, adding my voice can sometimes feel pointless. What do I know of the suffering and the torment that regular people who are LGBTQ+ go through on a daily basis? What does it mean to be an ally? It means taking a step back when our LGBTQ+ friends can be heard. It means being quiet when I want to shout, because those who are forced into silence need to be heard. It means holding my brother as he came out and loving him relentlessly. Being an ally means acknowledging that the rainbow is not just a pretty flag, but a symbol of those who have gone before us and given themselves for the rights of their descendants. But I can't win, because laudable though my intentions are, I'm guilty, aren't I? Guilty of speaking out about social injustices that don't affect me. I'm probably guilty of being woke. I recently asked a number of people what they thought this meant, and for the most part, for them, it was the original intention to be aware of and to speak out against social injustices. But for some, it was the attack doc brother of that 90s phrase, political correctness gone mad. Or to put it another way, just simply not wanting to offend people. To be part of this new wave of anti-wokeness, it's essential to believe that you have a God-given right to an opinion. And you absolutely do. Everybody has the right to an opinion. But you have also no longer the right to be immune from the consequences of that opinion. If your opinion is that I don't mind all that gay stuff, just don't shove it in my face, then your opinion is your own. But I will call you homophobic. And then you'll call me woke. And you know what? That's fine. I'm guilty. Take me to jail. You have no authority here, Jackie Weaver. You have no right to disagree with someone's lived experience. Too often I've heard, oh, but that's not offensive to gay people. Oh, sorry, gay, are you? Well, if not, sit down. Can't you take a seat? And there it is, I guess. That's what it means to be an ally, at least in my opinion. The consequences of that opinion being that I'll be called woke. And that's fine, because today, on the 17th of May, this International Day against homophobia, biphobia and transphobia, we're all allies, simply by being here. We are in this moment woke, and for some of us, that's quite a turn up for the books, so welcome. We're all allies now, because we choose to use our privilege earned through birth, election to public office, or through service to the public to make our voices heard, to ensure that those are being killed for having a different sexuality are few and far between, and that the people of Dudley and around the world know that they are not alone and will be supported and loved by their neighbours. The word has been tainted, but its meaning surely cannot be. If being called woke makes you uncomfortable, then please just focus on the good that can be done through openly protecting those that are discriminated against. There is no harm in this, honoured guests. They are the standing orders of this gathering today, and if you missed that memo, then might I suggest you read them. Read them and understand them. Thank you.
I just want to show you 3 pictures. That's the first one. That's a 20-year-old, and I hope I pronounce these as well as I can. Ali Reza Fazeli Monfarid, who in the last 2 weeks was beheaded by his own family in Iran when they found out he was gay. This is Lindolfo Kamaski, who was 25, who in the last couple of weeks was shot and burned to death in his own vehicle in Brazil, a young political activist who again was openly gay. And this is Tiana Alexander, who was 28, a trans woman who was shot and killed in Chicago, one of 24 known murders of trans people already in 2021. The murder of George Floyd rightly caused outrage around the world. Major coverage on mainstream news channels, sports people taking the knee, a movement created in response. These 3 young LGBT people, nothing of the sort. The BBC posted one news story about the murder of Ali Reza on the Middle East section of its website. Young Iranian LGBT people are secretly taking to the streets wearing pride flags. We must support them. I'm not religious, but Genesis states, so God created mankind in his own image. And here we are, black, white, gay, straight, man, woman, trans, non-binary, tall, short, the list is endless. If God is real, whatever gender, I think they did a pretty good job. It is humans who bully and persecute and murder. We must call out bigotry in all its forms. As the song says, I am what I am. That someone should lose their life for that is disgusting. Let us work together so that everyone has the opportunity to make their own kind of music and sing their own special song. Thank you. If I could now ask everyone to stand, and we will have a minute's silence in memory of these 3 young LGBT people and other young gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans and non-binary people who are persecuted and have lost their lives around the world. Thank you, everyone.
I listened to Sean and Adam quite a few weeks ago talking about this very event on Black Country Radio, and I wasn't aware, but to think that just 30 years ago, and Sean touched on this on the radio, just 30 years ago that the World Health Organization passed that motion, just 30 years ago, and it's hard to believe that 30 years ago, you know, organisations like that had those views. And although 30 years later, we have come on leaps and bounds in the way that we treat each other and respect each other, there's still a lot more to do. And there's clearly a lot more to do, because if there wasn't, we wouldn't be having this event. And although in this country we have come a long way, it's still more to do, it's absolutely horrific and barbaric to listen to the examples that Sean's given of people being murdered and bullied and mutilated in that manner in other countries across the globe. That is just inhuman. It's almost going back to medieval times, where if they thought you were a witch, they either threw you in the river or burned you to death. This is obscene that it's happening in the 21st century, and that's why events like today's are so important, because when mainstream news channels do ignore horrific instances like Sean mentioned, with events like this we can talk about them, we can publicise them, and we can actually make people sit up and take note. And I think that is absolutely vital and important, because we don't sit up and take note and say, look, this is not acceptable. It doesn't happen here, or it shouldn't. Let's make sure it doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's an honour to be able to represent the Labour group here at this really important event and stand in solidarity with members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual and trans communities, both here and abroad, in the fight against homophobia, biphobia and transphobia. And I've been asked to say a few words about the increasing danger being faced by LGBT people around the world. And we've already heard some examples of that. But what's of real concern is that some of the examples I'm going to give you are not from countries that far away. But let's first of all talk about a bit of history. In 2011, the United Nations published its first report on the human rights of LGBT people. The report concluded that hate-motivated violence, murder, torture, detention, criminalisation and discrimination are suffered by people because of their real or perceived sexual orientation or gender identity. But in spite of this landmark report, which should have given hope to so many LGBT people across the world, for many of them, the last 10 years has seen the situation get far worse. In Poland, a European country, for example, over recent years, has seen dozens of towns declaring themselves LGBT-free zones. Supported and egged on by the far right, the religious far right, a number of politicians have demonstrated open hostility to gay rights, and around 100 towns and regions across the country have passed resolutions declaring themselves free of so-called LGBT ideology. With state-sanctioned homophobia and largely hostile media, Polish gay people are faced with impossible choices. Do they emigrate? Or do they keep their heads down? Or perhaps they decide they should fight back. But we know if they do that, they can put themselves in real danger. In fact, just in recent weeks, there has been a terrible and tragic example of the dangers that LGBT people face. Normand Kinzulis, a 29-year-old paramedic in Latvia, was killed after being doused in petrol and set on fire because of his sexuality. Just one of a number of growing homophobic-related murders which take place on a weekly basis across Eastern Europe. And in Brunei, during 2018, a law making it legal to flog and stone LGBT people to death was enacted. In Nigeria, for a long time widely regarded as the most dangerous country in the world for LGBT people, enacted a recent Act of Parliament which has banned all same-sex relationships and sparked an incredible and concerning rise in violence, as well as blackmail and an extortion of thousands of innocent gay people. Friends and colleagues, you can only imagine what LGBT people in this country must be going through right now as we speak. And these are only a few examples. There are many more countries around the world who maintain punishment by lashings or the death penalty for the crime of same-sex relationships. So, while there has been progress here at home by successive governments with the abolition of Section 28, the introduction of same-sex marriage, enhanced worker protections, and the criminalisation of homophobic violence, on this important day, we call on governments across the world to abolish all punishments of LGBT people, to recognise the rights of LGBT people, and to commit to making their countries safe for all their LGBT citizens. Thank you.
Today, across the planet, we say that we are against prejudice witnessed through homophobia, biphobia and transphobia. And so we should. But for me, today is a special day because it is a day when, across the globe, we visibly unite and reaffirm that being different is something to celebrate. Being different can be a force for good, and being different can make the world a hell of a lot more interesting. Most prejudices are products of fear, and fears arise from a lack of understanding and knowledge. And this is why I like to talk about difference in a positive way rather than simply being against something. In this case, homophobia, biphobia and transphobia. So, in the future, I'd like to see a shift in focus, a shift from a narrative about being against all these phobias, which of course is necessary when witnessed and experienced, to a narrative that is much more positive and informative about our differences. I'd like to think we all know who Alan Turing was. I was going to say, hands up those of you who do. Do you? Yes? I think you do. This is a name which will live in our nation's history. If you Wikipedia his name, you'll find word for word that he was a brilliant mathematician, a pioneer of computer science, a cryptanalyst, I assume that's not of the religious kind, and a theoretical biologist, a logician, a philosopher, and father of artificial intelligence. It is said that his work shortened the war in Europe by 2 years and saved something like 14 million lives. His work formed the genesis of the technology in every computer and mobile phone. His work, quite simply, changed our world. Yet in 1952, after entering into a relationship with a man, Alan Turing was arrested and charged with the gross indecency of being gay. He pleaded guilty and he was chemically castrated for what at the time was a crime. He took his own life 2 years later at the age of 41. Alan Turing was just one name from tens of thousands whose lives were marred and ultimately ended by society's insistence that difference was wrong. Both Labour and Conservative governments have recently sought to rectify this horrible stain in our history, and the Alan Turing law contained within the Policing and Crime Act of 2017 meant that some 49,000 men have received posthumous pardons, as if they needed to be pardoned. So despite good progress here in the UK, we are still on a journey. As an individual, I know I am on this same journey. But around the globe, millions continue to be persecuted simply because of who they are. Days like today sends a message of solidarity. But if we are to win over hearts and minds everywhere, let's also make today a celebration of difference and move the narrative away from one that can label us as victims to one that recognises us all as equals, if not leaders. Thank you.
It is fantastic to be celebrating this day here today in Dudley together with people all across the world. And so now I will sing another song and we will have the raising of the pride flags. When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be.
to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
There we are. Thank you very much.
I'm going to start with some stats around gender identity. In 2020, 350 members of the trans community were murdered, 19 more than in 2019. This is only the reported deaths. The average age was 31, with the youngest just 15 years of age. 22% of the trans community were killed in their own home. Majority of victims were from Central and South America. 79% of trans women murdered in the United States were women of colour. Since 2008, the Trans Murder Monitoring Report has reported 3,664 deaths. Here in the UK, transphobic hate crime has quadrupled. This is not a new thing. This has been going on since the Stonewall riots and before. Too many of the trans community just go missing with no explanation. Rejected by friends and family, feared to live a life, fixed to live a life on the streets where they just become another statistic. 48% of the trans community have attempted suicide right here in England. I'm going to go over to sport now. The last World Cup was held in Russia, known for its homophobia. The next World Cup is to be held in Qatar, where homosexuality is illegal. Football has the power to change perceptions if used as a powerful tool. 43% of the LGBT community feel sport is not welcoming. 12% avoid the gym. 14% of LGBT pupils get bullied in PE. 25% of trans pupils get bullied in school. We have to change this, and we have to educate. I, like so many people, think, what can I do? I'm from England. How can I change the international stance? But we all can by speaking and just being real and educating everyone. Every morning I wake up and I'm thankful that I am trans in England, and I'm thankful that I am a transsexual woman in Wolverhampton and Dudley as well, who are so supportive of the LGBT community. Thank you.
And I'm proud to be here on behalf of the Watts Centre. Many thanks for inviting us. For 36 years, the Watts Centre has been providing counselling and advice services to young people of the Dudley Borough. The Watts Centre is the face of LGBTQ+ support within the borough and specialises in supporting the LGBTQ+ community through our youth and adult services. We offer a wide range of support, including sexual health screening, counselling, family work, support groups and advice. We offer sexual health screening at various venues in the community, including colleges, gyms, libraries, community centres and leisure centres, as well as at our centre just around the corner on Priory Street. We provide HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea and chlamydia testing. Our counselling service runs online via video call, phone call and also face-to-face appointments at both centres in Dudley and Stourbridge. Technology has been a real saviour during the pandemic, enabling people to still receive support during this difficult time, whether it be one-to-one or groups. We have a number of support groups, including LGBTQ+ groups, a gay men's group and a HIV support group. Groups are currently taking place online, but would usually take place at a safe venue, allowing people to connect with others from the community and receive support from their peers. We have guest speakers attending groups from different organisations. Activities include quizzes, arts and crafts, and workshops such as how to manage anxiety, just to name a few. We also offer advice on housing, benefits, sexual health advice and issue food bank vouchers. All of our services are free and confidential, so please help spread the word to ensure people are not missing out on potentially valuable support. Our service is here to be used, and I think now more than ever people could really benefit from accessing the support that Watts Centre has to offer. Given the nature of today, it's important that I mention that the Watts Centre is also a third-party reporting centre for hate crime. If anyone experiences hate crime and they do not want to report it directly to the police, they can come to us and we'll support them in reporting it. It's vital people do not suffer in silence, and to remember that support is available. For more information on all of our services and for anyone wanting to make a referral, please visit our website, thewattscentre.co.uk. It's so important that this day is recognised globally. We have seen significant positive changes over the last few decades, but there's still a lot of work to do. And unfortunately, there are still people in this world who feel it's okay to discriminate against others. We are all equal. There's simply no place for hate, and we can all play our part in stamping it out. Thank you.
The International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia and Transphobia is today being marked and recognised in over 130 countries throughout the world, with numerous events taking place to recognise and celebrate the celebration of sexual and gender diversities. I'm delighted that we are marking this significant day here in Dudley, face to face, rather than in the virtual manner in which we were able to deliver it last year during lockdown. On behalf of Dudley Council, I would like to thank everyone for attending, but I would particularly like to thank Councillors Adam Aston and Councillor Sean Kesey for their hard work and dedication in organising today's event. As a council, we recognise the importance of inclusivity and are proud to celebrate diversity in all its forms. The different speeches heard today have been incredibly moving. They've highlighted the discrimination and pain of the LGBT community that they have faced, and also we've heard some inspirational stories of bravery, hope and pride. Once again, thank you all very much indeed for attending. I look forward to celebrating the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia and Transphobia next year, and indeed for very many years to come. Thank you very much.
Oceans of tears, raindrops of regret, so much to laugh about, so much you wish you could forget. Oh, what of wisdom, it evades me now. If I could chase the pain away, you know I'd show you how. And just when you think you're out there on your own, you see yourself in someone else's eyes. And if they told you you could never love yourself, it was a lie. Hold up your head, never be afraid to shine. Viva la difference, it's in your body and your mind. All out with loneliness is such a waste of time. Come on in from the outside. Come on in from the outside. Volumes of words, nothing much is said. Too much to treasure, too many demons in your head. What of the future? I'll just watch it down. I'll put my past to bed and give myself a second chance. Just when you think you're out there on your own, you see yourself in someone else's eyes. And if they tell you you should never love yourself, well, it's a lie. Hold up your head, never be afraid to shine. Viva la difference, it's in your body and your mind. All out with loneliness is from the outside. So hold up your head, never be afraid to shine. Viva la difference, it's in your body and your mind, your mind, your mind. Bored now with loneliness, it's such a waste of time. Come on in from the outside. Come on in from the outside. Come on in from the outside.
I'm Fern. I'm pleased to represent Dudley Youth Council at today's event and share with you a poem entitled May 17th by Britain's LGBT poet laureate Trudy Howson. May 17th. I'm your brother and sister. I'm both Miss and Mister. I'm gay, bi and transsexual. I am myself. I'm your mother and father, husband, auntie, friend and lover. I'm both different and the same. I'm your family. I'm black, white, pink, every hue. Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Jew. Skinhead, goth, punk, new romantic. I am me. I am you. I'm your district nurse, your teacher, the boy and girl next door, someone on your street. I'm your neighbour. I'm no different to you, or no worse, no richer, poorer, blessed or cursed, just part of the same gravitational wave as are you.
My name is Emily, and I'm also a member of Dudley Youth Council. Our second poem, again written by Trudy Howson, is called Love Happens Here. Love happens here. Love happens here in the family LGBT. In our relationships far and near, it's the heart of us and we. Love can be enough in sunshine or in showers. When the going gets tough, it's love that empowers. Love is our diversity, it's the best that we can be. It's a talent and creativity within our community. Love is you and me. We show it in a smile, in our endeavour and tenacity, in our fabulous style.